essential oils. I have used Young Living essential oils for over 9 years, well, about 9 years. And I am an aromatherapy coach. And I would like to bring to you why essential oils is beautiful. So first of all, there is a big hype about essential oils. Everyone is talking about oils. Company that sells other stuff is now selling essential oils. Everywhere you go, there is essential oils. So what is essential oils and why is it that everyone wants to use them? And I'm sure you are here watching this because you're interested with essential oils as well. Well, first of all, essential oils are not new remedies. They are not something that just came out last night and people just got excited. If you look into the ancient world, the priest would burn incense. So incense in the Bible is actually referred to frankincense. And if you go to an Orthodox church or a Catholic church, you see here, they burn incense here. And the funny thing is, if you look into some history books, you will see the Egyptian goddess back then, they have a little cone head on the top. This cone head on the cone, they were actually myrrh. Myrrh is a resin. And they usually wrap the myrrh in an animal fat, and it will be buffalo fat or crocodile fat. They wrap the myrrh resin on, and they live in Egypt. So by the Nile River is very hot and there's a lot of insects. So they will walk into the Nile, and the sun will shine on their head and melt the fat and therefore melt the myrrh, and it goes right into the face, into the back as insect repellent as well as sun protection. So I'm very glad to live in the 21st century that I don't have to wrap crocodile fat on some myrrh, but this is how some of the resin of myrrh or frankincense were used in the ancient time. And Asian culture, I grew up in Asia, and we used a lot of different herbs. I remember as a little child, we have all this herbal tea that our parents will cook from like 4 bowls of water into one, and it's dark and it's bitter and it's disgusting. And I remember my mom will hold the back of my head and the front of the bowl and just force feed me because it was so nasty. And all those rituals or all those medicine were really to bring the essence of the plant into our body, the essence of the tree gum to help our well-being, to burn the incense for our spiritual goodness. So this is not something new. This has happened for thousands of years. So essential oils are really substance or essence from the resin in the tree. So myrrh and frankincense were tree saps. From the rind, so we have lemon oil, tangerine oil, lime oil, they're all from the rind. We have like cinnamon bark is from the tree barks. We have leaves, so we have La Laurus nobilis, those are from the leaves. And we have rose oil from the flower, ylang ylang from flower. And then we have from the fruits, such as fruit would be, I can't think right now. We have oils from the fruits. Goji berry is not oil, it's a puree that we have from the fruits. And from the roots, like valerian, these are from the roots. So it's basically the essence of the plants, in different parts of the plants. It is either steam distilled, cold pressed, or through solvent, we get into the essence of the plant that will bring wellness to us from the inside out, supporting our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and in all levels. But the good thing for us is essential oils are now in little bottles. They are easy. You just have to open it and use it instead of wrapping it up with buffalo fat, or you have to like stone grind it and try to distill it yourself. We are very, very fortunate to have these bottles of oil sent to our home by courier service, and all we need to do is just to open it. So let's talk about why we need to use essential oils. So a lot of times we use an oils is through the sense of smell. Of course, we have other senses. We have 5 senses. So what are the 5? They are sense of sight, sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of taste, and sense of hearing. When you see something, or when you hear something, touch or taste something, it will go through to the frontal lobe, to the reasoning brain. So for example, if you touch the hot barbecue, it will say it's hot, lift your hands, and your reasoning brain will actually tell you to lift your hand. If I were to see my husband walking down the street with a beautiful blonde hair, cleavage and all, you bet I will be thinking, we need to have a talk immediately, right? So because that's where the reasoning brain is. However, when we have the sense of smell, when we smell a cookie, when we smell your favorite food, when we smell essential oils, what it does is the sense of smell collects these particles of smells through the olfactory nerves into the olfactory bulb, which is seated right in the back, in the center, right here in the back of our brain. And by doing so, it has a little shortcut that goes right through there. It doesn't go through the reasoning brain. So we kind of don't get to psychoanalyze things, but it just goes straight into the middle part of the brain. And this part of the brain, it is also known as the limbic system, aka the seat of emotions and memory. And that's why when you smell something, you just bring in some emotions. Some are good, some are not so good. But so let's just take a look at the limbic system, what they are entails. So right at the limbic system, we have the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus secretes hormones that stimulate or suppress the release of hormones in the pituitary gland. It also controls water balance, sleep, temperature, appetite, and blood pressure. So here you go. If you feel that your hormone is out of balance, by smelling oils, it could help secrete hormones that stimulate this control of blood pressure and appetite and so on and so forth. And also it has the amygdala that is in the limbic system. The amygdala is responsible for our feelings such as anxiety, aggression, fear, emotional memory, and social cognition. So I think a lot of people are having some difficulties in the last 2 years. And therefore, smelling your favorite cookie can help, or smelling your favorite home-baked bread will help. But they also have a different side effect because you have to eat it, right? So smelling an essential oils can also help because it goes through to the olfactory bulb into the amygdala to help regulate these kind of emotions. Also, in the limbic system, there is the hippocampus. My daughter called it the hippopotamus, but it's called hippocampus. And the hippocampus is responsible for our long-term memory. A lot of us, we suppress the long-term memory because maybe you did not have a good memory in those times. So that affects our body as well. And then we have the thalamus, which is also part of the limbic system. Our thalamus relays sensory and signals, as well as regulate conscious and alertness. Unfortunately, a lot of us have lost consciousness and alertness due to a lot of emotional suppression in the last few years. So, and we've sometimes caught ourselves not being alert and sharp like before. So perhaps this could be something that can help you. So that's just science. That's just the limbic system. But let's talk about essential oils again. What is the difference of essential oils? What is the difference between the two worlds? First of all, as we mentioned earlier, essential oils were the essence from the different part of the plant. They are made in a garden. They are planted in a garden. But the other world is substance that is made in the lab. So let me walk with me back to the Titanic. Okay, in the early 1900s, before the First World War, and those people were. I wish I was born in that era because I think people back then have a lot of manners and a lot of good quality. Like I'm into antique nowadays, and even the antique, they're so well made, not like just slabs that falls apart 2 months later. So back in the time where there were men that would smoke cigar, and then women they use perfume, and that was a sociable thing to do, and there's good things to do. And if you really dig down into the details, the cigar are rolled with herbs and mainly clary sage. And then the perfume were from lavender plant, they were from ylang ylang, from neroli, from jasmine. So they were really the essence of the oil. They were essential oils. But when the World War hit, the First World War and the Second World War, those raw products became unavailable. So therefore, men started making these products from the lab. And today, smoking or using perfume can be very, very deadly. So our world nowadays is filled with toxic chemical, unfortunately. So there are three categories of toxin. There are carcinogens, endocrine, and neurotoxin. Carcinogen is an agent with the capacity to cause cancer in humans. What has carcinogen? Tobacco, asbestos, crispy and brown food that I love, formaldehyde is part of that. A lot of all the new clothes that we wear, the fabric, they have a layer of formaldehyde in it. So my daughter knows when we buy new clothes, we have to wash it before we wear them. We have to wash it with our thieves laundry soap before we start wearing it. Alcohol, processed meat, these are some of the categories of carcinogen. As well as in endocrine disruptors is very, very common. You see that words a lot. But what does endocrine mean? Endocrine is basically our hormone, the glands that they communicate in our body. In the next few slides, I will give you a lot more information on the endocrine system. But basically, the messenger in our body are no longer communicating. So therefore, it is known as endocrine disruptor. When endocrine are disrupted, then your body is not communicating, and then there's a breakdown of the relationship. Just like how if a husband and wife do not talk, there's a breakdown of relationship. If employer and employee do not talk, there's a breakdown of relationship, right? So that's the endocrine disruptors. And then the neurotoxin. Neurotoxins are synthetic or naturally occurring substances that damage or destroy or impair the functioning of the central nervous system or the peripheral nervous system. And that can be very, very, very serious. Where do we find neurotoxin? In canned tomato sauce, in grilled meats, in peanut butter because of the alpha toxin in it, microwave popcorn. These are some of the examples of the neurotoxin that is found in our modern world. So a few things that we use quite commonly at home: air freshener. We also love to use fabric softener and dryer sheets. We also definitely love cleaning products that have fragrance in it so that you can smell good. And we use a lot of antibacterial products, especially in the last 2 years, it's antibacterial everywhere, right? So we use that in our home, as well as corrosive drain cleaners, oven cleaners, and toilet bowl cleaners. These are some of the things that we use on the daily basis. Bleach and ammonia, we love that. We like things to be squeaky clean. But did you know that you can't mix some of these products together? You will cause a chemical burn. That is the first warning for us, but we still use it. Products that create suds, so anything that bubbles up, they're actually full of SLS and other chemicals that could potentially be very harmful for our endocrine system. So with little aches and pains, sometimes we don't make the connection. We think that it's just normal to have a little aches and little pains here and there. So let's talk a little more serious about hormone disruptors, okay? What that really means. As we mentioned earlier, our hormones are basically the different glands. And that is the pineal glands, pituitary gland, thyroid glands, thymus, pancreas, sexual glands, adrenal glands. All these glands are the power point in our body that makes a big, it's like the guard that is by the power point. And these points, some people call them the chakra, some people call them the neuroendocrine system. I like to call them the power point. Whatever you call them, God put it there for us. When he created us, he put it there. So just to give you an example, the heart point or the heart power point, heart neuroendocrine system, the heart chakra, whatever name you want to call that, is connected right here where the thymus is. We all know that the thymus is responsible for immune system. And let's take a look. Heart point is also connected to the heart, the lung, the circulatory system. So when this point is blocked, it affects everything. You have a broken heart, you have a respiratory issues. And what does it connect to with our emotions? That is the ability to give and receive love. And some of the illnesses that you will see, it could be myocardiac infarction, emphysema, heartache, heart problem, breathing, so on and so forth. So let's go back to the endocrine system. If we do not communicate within the system, it causes us to have problem with our physical body that might attach to illnesses, as well as our personal integrity and character. People that are always having throat issues, it could be connected to your thyroid, to TMJ, to the throat, but emotionally, it could be from your inability to speak your best yes. But maybe you are in a situation that you cannot speak your opinion. Maybe in a situation that you were shut off all the time, and it will connect to your throat and your thyroid. One particular example that I want to give you so that you can understand the endocrine system is so important is people who need to regulate glucose, like me. I have to regulate glucose. I used to be insulin dependent for over the last 10 years before I started using natural alternatives. So we know that the pancreas secrete insulin and digestive enzyme. So, so type 2 diabetic, like I was, there is insulin that is floating around the body. And each of our cells, we have 100 trillion cells, have hair that is waiting to connect with all these messengers, because hormones are known as messengers. So the insulins are actually floating in our body, but they are not finding each other because the receptor sites are blocked. So the endocrine system was disrupted. So when the disruption has occurred, they cannot talk to each other, and therefore you will need external help like medication or injection of insulin. But if your receptor site is clear, the insulin will find the receptor sites and it will open up like a key and a lock. And therefore, there is a communication in your body. There is no breakdown of the system. So when we use toxic chemical in our home, when we eat a lot of processed food, canned food, so on and so forth, things that's made in the lab, not in a garden, it will disrupt our endocrine system. And therefore, it will come with many different side effects. Could be from your natural integrity as well as from physical issues. Even small amount of these influences can have a big impact in our life. That's why the measurement that they are used is called part per trillion. It is measured part per trillion. They are really, really tiny. So think of a frog in a pot. There's an urban myth that says that if you put a frog in a pot of water, but it's a boiling hot water, the frog gets in there, he will immediately jump out of the boiling water because they sense a temperature change, they know it's danger, and they will escape from being burned to death. But if you were to put a frog in a pot of room temperature water And then you turn on the fire. It's starting warming up the water slowly. The frog will acclimatize to the temperature change, and it will boil to death without knowing it, without trying to escape, without jumping out. So many of us are living like the frog in the pot being burned. We kind of a little bit of here, a little bit of there is no big deal, but eventually it is a big deal. It is a very big deal. Now, did you know in 1976, a lot of people were having toxic chemical issues and physically they were not well. So the US government called the Toxic Substance Control Act, where it says, okay, all these chemicals are not allowed. We're going to provide a safe regulation for our citizens. However, there were 100,000 toxic chemicals. They were already being used right up to 1976. The ones that have caused the problem, they were grandfathered in. They were grandfathered in that they were allowed to continue to be used. This is shocking, but unfortunately, is the truth. Also, there's a lot of products that are greenwashed. So they may look to be safe. They may have even the lemon on it, a plant, and some even says that they use essential oils. But you flip it over and you see the ingredients says fragrance. Oh, when you see the word fragrance or perfume, you need to stop, drop, and run the other way. Why? Because fragrance alone is considered a trade secret that companies do not have to disclose which ingredients they are used. Typically, 300 to 2,000 toxic chemicals in that word. They are disguised in that one single word. So go home and take a look under the sink, in your medicine cabinet, in your shower room. Take a look at any of your products. If it has fragrance, that shows it's 300 to 2,000 toxic chemical that they don't have to disclose to you. I would say get it out of your life. This is how our body works. Our body actually begins with like atoms, just an atom, and then a few atoms join together, it makes molecules. Molecules join together make cells. When cells form together, it creates tissues. A lot of different tissues form together, it will make an organ. So what is happening in our world is, if you have an organ that's not working, we try to remove it, we try to cut a bit off, we try to put a band-aid in, we try to fix it from the external. What if I say that we could actually go back into the cellular level? Not the cell phone cell, but the cellular level. There's lots of molecules joined together to make a cell, or right down into the atom, so that we can work backwards and bring something that is no longer functioning at its optimal, such as part of your organ system. It can be rejuvenated. So that will be something that is very, very exciting, isn't it? Essential oils work naturally in the cellular level, and I'm going to tell you why in the science-based explanation. For something to go through the cellular level, they have to be very, very small in the atomic mass unit. In fact, they have to be so small that they will go through into your bloodstream right away, and also go through the blood-brain barrier. Now, what is a blood-brain barrier? We hear about this word all the time. So blood-brain barrier is actually a barrier that protects our pumpkin. God put it there so that our brain don't get things that comes in easily. It's a barrier. It is very specific that most things do not get through to our brain. For example, water, H2O, is very, very small. It's 18 atomic mass unit. But because water is not oil soluble, it will not go through our blood-brain barrier. And you and I are very thankful for that. Because if we did, when we take a bath, when we come out from the bath, we're going to have water coming out of our ears and our nose and our eyeballs, right? So we need something that is smaller than 500 atomic mass unit, and it has to be an oil soluble so that it will go through the blood-brain barrier. It goes through to our cells, it goes into the brain without any issues. So what can essential oils do? Because naturally essential oils are around 1 to 200 atomic mass unit. And essential oils are oil soluble because they are oils. So when you use an oil or smell an oil, within 22 seconds, it would have reached your brain. Within 2 minutes, it would have been found in your bloodstream because it goes right into the bloodstream. Within 20 minutes, they would have reached the trillion cells of your body. So this is pretty remarkable. In my personal finding and in my personal opinion, there's nothing on planet Earth that could do the same thing. Now, humans start to doing that because they started making medications for people with brain injuries or people with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. And that is for the brain. But because medication are very heavy, it is usually bigger than 500 atomic mass unit. So therefore, the meds will stop right here at the blood-brain barrier. It won't go through to the brain. But if someone needs medication for the brain, that is a bummer. So the scientists created nanotechnology. Nanotechnologies were created so that they can bring medication into the brain. And the beauty industry and other industry got wind of it, and they thought, oh, wow, I could do that. If I were to bring something through nanoparticles into the hypodermis layers of the skin, the deeper layer of the skin, or even the dermis layer, that's where all the collagens are, then the makeup will stay longer. Then the products, the body lotion will be smoother. So therefore, in our world today, body lotion, spray, chemical makeup, the sunscreen that you spray on your body, they all are equipped with nanotechnologies. Therefore, by the seconds after you put it on your skin, it gets absorbed into your bloodstream and into the blood-brain barrier, along with perfume, fragrance, carcinogen, neurotoxin, things that disrupt your endocrine system, and so on and so forth. So we didn't know, that's fine, but now you know. When we know better, we do better. Essential oils naturally could support our cells, because when we smell an oil, it brings oxygen to the brain. Oil that is high in sexoterpenes and monoterpenes, such as frankincense, sandalwood, cedarwood, they bring oxygen to the brain. And one of the things that I love to do in the class that I conduct in person is I put an oximeter on the student's hand and then have them breathe in frankincense, and you see the numbers goes up to almost 99, 100. It's pretty phenomenal. And also essential oils could bring oxygen through the blood and nutrient to the blood into the organ. And that is very essential for many people. Essential oils can also support us by the rhythm that resonates with our organs. So let's say the heart is beating a little tired. And then there is an oil like Aroma Life is right here. And all these oils have a rhythm. And this rhythm now is resonating. It's just like having two guitars in the same room that is tuned in the same frequency. If I were to play the C string here, the guitar across the room will start sounding C string because they're in resonance. So this resonance of the oil will work with the organ and to bring rejuvenation. Now, I have had many people that says to me, Jasmine, you are giving your children too much oils. You're going to overdose them with oils. You're going to cause them to go like essential oils, toxicity, and I don't remember the words that they use. So here is a news flash for you. Essential oils generally have three major players. They are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They are make up by these majorly three. There are sulfur and nitrogen as well, but mainly carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Our human body is actually 96% made up of the same substance, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So you tell me, can we overdose ourselves with ourselves? Oh, maybe if I'm a very proud person, I can be puffed up and just overdose myself with me-self, right? But just putting joke aside, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygens is almost 100% of our human body. When we pick up an oil and put in our body, no matter how you use it, it's going to support our body to bring rejuvenation from the inside out. And that's why I love essential oils. That's why I chose essential oils, because this is, scientifically speaking, the one thing that is made naturally from the garden, not by man in the lab, naturally made for us for our well-being. I became the first person in my family that welcome pure, real, and simple solutions. And I hope you will too, because these are really simple solutions. They are made, packaged beautifully. Each one of these oils have a usage. This is called the everyday oil starter bundle. So that means you could literally use it every single day. Something for every part of your body, for every age group. We also have amazing cleaning products that you no longer have to use toxic chemical to scrub your bathtub, because by having a squeaky clean house, the price might be too high to pay. Some of the symptoms connected with that is really difficult to live with. So I love the Thieves product. We have laundry soap, dish soap. Thieves household cleaner, this one tiny little bottle here can make 29 spray bottles. We have the fruit and veggie spray where you can clean out all the many toxic chemicals that they spray on your fruit and veggie before you get to your home. We have sanitizer that doesn't give you a high, it doesn't give you a whiff or headache, because the alcohol in it is derived from peppermint leaves and is so good for our body. We also have toothpaste and hand wash, and of course the Thieves essential oils. It also comes with diffuser, where you could diffuse and let your family smell and support your olfactory bulb with the limbic system with Thieves goodness. We also have a beautiful juice that's called, it's not juice, they are puree. They're called the Ninsia Red. Maybe further down, we can talk more about the Ninsia Red. Basically, this is a delicious juice that you could give it to your children or your parents or seniors or yourself. If you make it a habit of drinking a pack or 2 ounces a day, you will begin to see your body rejuvenating from the inside out. And we care a lot for our children. We have a whole Kid Sense product that comes with a beautiful owl diffuser that our children could use. We also have baby products. What a wonderful opportunity that this pure little baby that come to the earth, we don't have to put toxic chemical in. I'm going to tell you a true story. When my son was born and the nurse took him away from me to give him a bath, they began to put some bubbly thing on his head and try to scrub his head and his body. I jumped out of the bed and I went to take the bottles to try to read the labels, because my little baby was just born. He was just born. What are you putting in his body? And when I turned the bottle around, I could not pronounce all of the words. That is when I really started looking for alternatives. And if we have children that's school age, we have a set of beautiful roll-on collection for them that they can use happily and support them as well. We also have animal products. I have chicken, I have cat, I have a lizard, I have a dog. I don't have a horse though, but I want a dog. But they all use essential oils and you could support them that way. And also toxic chemical makeup can go out the door. Makeup that has nanoparticles can go out the door. We have a whole range of Savvy Mineral makeup. So thank you so much for your time. I hope we can choose to live by choice and not by chance. And this choice is within us to make. So my name is Jasmine. Thank you for spending your time. And I hope it makes sense to you. And I hope to welcome you to the Pure Senses, to the essential oils world, where we can journey to